Hello. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to the Velvet Sugar Podcast. I'm your co-host, David Beckles Jr.
And I'm Alex Kolar at Black Rock Comedy. Jesus, at Big Alex Comedy. What's your handle there on Instagram?
At Black Rock Dave.
Black Rock Jesus.
Black Rock
Alex and Big Alex Dave. We screwed this up already. We're like 10 seconds in.
They're partners and they can't figure out what they're doing.
We got a very special guest.
We do.
On the podcast, but we're trying to get him on here for ages. We finally got him.
Right.
I'm going to give you a brief intro and then we're going to get going. But just to start at the end is he was the president of MGM Television Distribution from the late 70s through 1989.
Yes.
He's going to talk about ESPN. I can't wait to hear your ESPN Monday night story. And this guy, when I met him, he showed me pictures of him with Muhammad Ali, none other than Joseph Tirinato.
Welcome.
Is he here yet?
We're finally here.
Introduce me to him. Yeah, I'd like to meet him.
In the illustrious studios here that we are.
Yeah, it's glamorous. When I started at ABC, this was about the size of it.
Yeah.
So Joe,
The early 60s.
Wow.
So Joe, you are what I tell when I tell people who ask me about you, I said this guy's like the original Mad Men. And you told me that, right? You're like one of the original Mad Men.
Yeah, and a lot tougher than they were too. We did a lot more than they did. They finished at lunch. We kept going on and on and on. Wow. Lunch, dinner, 3 o'clock in the morning. You find the Felicia's on Lexington Avenue for late drinks.
So tell me something. Let's start from the very beginning, if you can, as much as you remember. How did you get into advertising? Was that your first job, advertising?
Well, hold on. Before that, where are you from? New York?
I'm from Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
Upstate New York.
Yeah.
Went to Syracuse University.
Right.
National champions, 1959.
And tell the audience who you went to, who was on your team.
Well, the two guys that you might remember, I'm pretty certain, was Jimmy Brown, the greatest athlete, not just a football player, one of the greatest athletes America's ever known, and then Ernie Davis, which was a horror story because he was All-American and great, and unfortunately, at 22, passed away with leukemia.
So tell the story about that. The way you told me the story was that he was going to be Heisman Trophy winner, right? What was the story with that?
He became the first black Heisman Trophy winner.
He became the first black Heisman Trophy winner. Wow.
And matter of fact, part of that story is Jimmy Brown, who preceded him, number 44. They both had number 44. Yeah. The reason Brown didn't win the Heisman Trophy, besides other reasons, was that Paul Hornung won it because Notre Dame, and they preferred to have Hornung rather than Jimmy Brown.
So it was a political thing with the colleges.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if it was political. You don't want to go that far, but I just want you to realize how great Jimmy Brown truly was.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy. Yeah. Well, he played 9 seasons in the NFL with the Browns.
Right.
8 out of the 9 seasons, he won the rushing title. Yeah. The only reason he didn't win it in the 9th year was because Jimmy Taylor with the Packers, that was their biggest year. Yeah. So Taylor outdid him. Otherwise, Jimmy would have won the title 9 years in a row. He retired after 9 years. And talking about Ali, he along with Bill Russell, defended Ali when he went through that whole court thing about the Army.
Yeah. Listen, you definitely don't got dementia for 87 years old.
What dementia? What are you talking about? Who are we? What are we doing here?
A couple of minutes, he's just going to get confused. Joe Biden the shit out of this place and start walking around confused.
Where am I?
You were talking about how did you get into advertising? Yes. How did you get into advertising?
That kind of was luck. Yeah. Getting into advertising, honestly, was kind of lucky in a way. And I'll try to simplify it. I had always intended to be a lawyer. I took pre-law at Syracuse University. Ooh. And then I spent 1 year law school in New York at New York Law School, not NYU, but New York Law School. Okay. And I decided I wasn't sure if the law was for me. I had friends of mine that were in California. I went out there. I liked California in a way. I liked what I saw there. I came back, and then I was told after all that education, you better find a job instead of hanging around the cities of Manhattan having a great time.
So really,
and I had a girlfriend who worked at an advertising agency, and she said to me, you know what, with all your baloney, you belong in advertising. That was it.
And when did you go out to California?
That was 1965, 66.
L.A.?
Oh, I'm sorry, before that. 60 to 62.
L.A.?
Yeah.
I got to know, what was that like in the 60s, California?
Wild.
Wild?
Yeah.
Just out of control, like what you see?
In more ways than one.
Yeah. Drugs, cocaine, all that stuff.
You name it.
Craziness, right?
That was it. Yep.
Ugly women everywhere, just walking around.
Oh yeah, really ugly. Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't want to see those. In
Small
They put a
breasts.
bag over their head.
No blondes. Exactly. Just
No, that was. That's not what just intrigued me. It was the excitement of, the studios and what have you, and Paramount and
it's something else.
MGM lot.
Was that the heyday of the studios?
Yeah,
the big
it
studios,
was kind
the
of.
60s?
They were all coming into their own, and the theaters were bulging. People were going to the movies.
Right.
And I was very fortunate that I wound up at MGM. Oh, actually, very fortunate to wind up with ABC, because when I went to ABC, which was my first advertising job in network sales, ABC was like number 3. It didn't exist. It was just CBS and ABC.
They were the little guys, right?
Yeah, nothing. We were non-existent. And because we're all within almost the same age group, we built the network from, at the time we had about 137 affiliate stations to over 200 after 10 years, 11 years, because we decided that the audience that advertisers wanted to reach were 18 to 49, and that's where we geared the programming. And then, of course, ABC Sports took over, and Roone Arledge, who was the king of sports. Matter of fact, when you mentioned before ESPN, when Roone came in at our meeting for the network sales guy selling advertising, he said, well, Monday night, I'm introducing Monday Night Football. We all went ballistics. Are you crazy? You're going to disrupt the network lineup?
You were against it?
Yeah. Why would you disrupt our successful primetime programming with football? Football belonged on CBS on Sunday, and that was basically it.
What was your programming?
What was the programming?
Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch.
I remember that.
Fame.
I remember
when
that too.
when I googled you.
Mork and Mindy.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember all those.
We were building. Yeah, we were building.
I googled you the other day, and we saw Fame. We googled you, and we saw Fame on there. We saw you with the cast of Fame.
Yeah.
There was a good picture of you online.
We kept it alive. NBC decided to cancel it because it had run its course, and Larry Gershwin, who was my boss, the president of ABC Television. Gershwin.
Is there another Gershwin now?
No.
Okay.
No, really.
I'm confusing it with somebody else.
Larry, we sat down and decided it was worth saving. It had a younger audience, it had a young appeal, and we kept it alive. We got the financing for it and put it on the air, and the rest of that is a success story.
So who's the one that wanted the Monday Night Football? What was his name again?
Roone Arledge. He was Roone Arledge, just look up his name. He was the father of handheld cameras.
Yeah.
What was his position in the network?
What?
What was he? He was his
He was
president.
the president of ABC Sports.
ABC Sports
AG.
president. Okay.
ABC Sports president. You could put
And what happened was the hardest audience you had to get were young men 18 to 49. Well, they were there in droves on Monday Night Football.
We looked him up there. Roone Arledge.
Arledge.
Is that him right there? Roone Arledge?
That's him.
That's him. Okay.
That's
Wow.
the guy.
This guy's familiar.
Well, he's no longer with us, but that was a long time ago.
Wow.
But he
Look at those glasses on the left. Oh, that's 70s, 80s right there.
Yeah.
You know, there's another. I hate to tag on another interesting story.
Go ahead. We got time.
Yeah.
That's what we.
But I
for.
just happened to read this now because I had nothing. I have nothing to do with it. But there was a guy that worked for Roone, Jeff Mason, who was like the producer of the programming of the television sports shows and so on at ABC Films or ABC Sports, which became, a great Saturday show. He is in Florida now. He's still alive. Okay. He's producing a program called September 5, about the Munich terror attack when they were going to kill the
Munich Olympics.
Munich Olympics.
Oh yeah.
And what I didn't realize that Jeff actually was in the production.
Is that him?
booth.
Is that him right there?
Looks like it. I think so.
Jeffrey
yeah.
Mason. Yeah.
Jeff Mason.
Jeff with the G.
And
Jeffrey with the G.
what I'm giving him a free plug, I guess, because the movie comes out in December.
Yeah.
But it's from his point of view, and one of the things he pointed out that when the Germans invaded the rooms, they got him. They were going to shoot him, and the reason they wanted him out of there is because his cameras were shooting the roof where the German snipers were, who wanted to shoot anybody coming in to try and help him. And from his vantage point inside, he tells the story now for the first time of what actually happened from his point of view.
Okay.
And he happens to mention another guy that was one of the best journalists, Peter Jennings, who dressed.
Oh, yeah.
Peter, I didn't realize this myself, and I was part of it. Not part of that, but that Peter Jennings dressed as an athlete with a name thing and snuck into the place to get a first-hand reporting of what was happening.
Wow.
And we all remember Jim McKay, whose final words were, and it's been repeated 1,000 times, they're all gone, when they all got blown up in the plane, in the helicopter. And his only words were, and they're all gone. And the reason it's on my mind, because I just read about Jeff about a week ago.
So what year did that actually happen? What year was that?
1972.
72. Yeah, Munich. Munich
72,
Olympics,
German, the Olympics in Munich.
Not your people this time.
No, not the Germans. No.
Anyway, that's a side thought for... but that's how I started. I started at ABC, and probably the lowest job you could possibly have. And the day I walked in that office was the day I knew that that's what I wanted for the rest of my life, that career. So I spent the next 40 years in broadcasting in some fashion. Network television at ABC, and then ABC Films. I was with Paramount Pictures, always in marketing and sales and distribution, and then United Artists. And then eventually I wound up with MGM, and as executive vice president of sales, and promoted to president of worldwide television distribution. And ironically, which connects with you in a way, ironically, MGM, we went and bought United Artists, which had all the James Bond pictures and all the Rocky movies.
I told you dementia.
So,
he's losing it. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. None of this makes any sense.
Okay.
You know, we'll piece it together later. How the hell do you remember this?
I watched so many Rocky movies because that's what he shows when he's doing his MRIs. How many times can I watch Creed and Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 10?
Switch it up, bro.
I'm gonna inject your blood into me, and hopefully I get some of this memory for the rest of my life.
Switch it
something.
Bond, James Bond.
You know, sometimes I think about this to go, to a personal level. I'm dealing with a number of health issues that are serious, and that's why I welcome this opportunity to really sit and with great people, even though you're 3 times my size. You're about the size of the guys I played football against.
I'm actually sitting on the floor next to Joe. I'm sitting on the floor right now. If I stood up and sit on a chair, I would look 19 feet tall.
Oh, God. No, it's an honor to have you here.
I always incorrectly when someone says, "Boy, you have all those memories and all those things that you did," in a way, when you get to a certain age, they become a hindrance in a way because you think about them, and even though you dwell on them, that they were probably the best times of my life. That desire to get back. It's like a baseball player, baseball. You know, the guy said there was a great line, Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe went to Korea to entertain the troops. When they came back, they were in Japan. And they're getting off the plane. And all these people are screaming about Marilyn. And she turned to Joe. I got to know Joe I'll think of his name. She said to Joe, I don't imagine you can appreciate what all of this adulation type of thing is going on. He goes, yes, I do.
He's a
He
Yankee.
told you this?
No, it
Oh.
was no, he didn't tell me.
But you met him. You met Joe.
Yeah, at Toots Shores.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
used to hang around at Toots Shores, the restaurant on 54th Street that we all went to, and everybody
So
knew.
let's keep going, and let's get back to what you're saying. So you started with the studios, and you quickly went to where you ended up. So you started with the studios. What year was it? Roughly 50s, 60s?
60.
60.
60s.
The
60s.
First job.
When did you start really like moving up? Like when did you become? How did that? I want to know how you walked into the studio, started selling
Well, I
advertising.
didn't walk in. They brought me.
Well, they
in.
brought you in. They brought you in.
Walk in.
But how did you?
I know I look a little bit like a Don, but I didn't walk in and say, that's my job. I want that job. No, it was.
How long did you do it until they noticed you and
That's
started
right. I
promoting you?
worked.
You know?
Well, if you'd give me a chance to
ahead.
answer.
Yeah, give him a
I want to
chance.
hear.
He's not from this country. I apologize on behalf of.
I worked my butt off. I wasn't married. I traveled everywhere, changed offices whenever they wanted. And every territory that I was involved in was successful.
Okay.
And then as I hired people, they were successful.
Right.
So within the industry, which is, it sounds like it's a huge industry, but it's very closeted. Particularly now, it's changed quite a bit. But so everybody knew one another in a way.
So it's results oriented, right?
Let's put from an egotistical point of view, let's put the best guy we can get in MGM as a vice president of sales,
Right.
television. All right,
Makes sense.
Joe Tirinato. Joe Tirinato starts as a vice president, executive vice president. The sales kept getting better. We got better properties.
Right.
And then my boss at the time, Ed Montanus, passed away, gone. And eventually David Beagleman, famous Beagleman, became CEO of MGM, and he brought in Larry Gershman. And Gershman says, I want Tirinato as the president. This guy deserves what he's accomplished. And Larry appointed me as president of Worldwide Television Distribution.
And how long were you in advertising when that happened? When you got
I
appointed?
was 60, 10, 70, 30 years.
It's a 30-year journey.
30 years. Yeah, I wasn't even 50 when I was only in my 40s when they named me president.
And that was in 1977, right?
77, yeah.
So 30 years. Wait a second. So did that mean you started in about 25 years?
No,
right?
yeah.
Almost 30
Yeah, I
years.
missed the moon by a million miles.
I told you dementia. Dementia. I told
Yeah.
you. He
So-
doesn't know where he is.
No,
Yeah.
that
You
is
missed the
awesome.
moon? You mean you missed it by a million miles? Jesus, how come you didn't hit it? About 100 million miles, but I got a million.
So-
Anyway, it was the industry itself.
Right.
It was, for young people, it was a great place. And if you were good and you worked hard at it and all that other stuff with it, you eventually got the fruits of your labor. And it was very rewarding for me.
Yeah.
And I still stayed in New York City, but I traveled to Los Angeles a lot.
Yeah.
And the MGM building, which was the Irving Thalberg, Thalberg made MGM famous in the days of Louis B. Mayer. His building, that's where our offices were, and the studio was right here, so you saw all the stars.
Okay.
That's how I met Stallone. I had the picture of me and Sly, which was pretty interesting. He was just interviewed. He campaigned for Trump.
Yeah.
He was just being interviewed with Hannity. And you know what people don't realize? The guy is a sweetheart. He really is
Stallone?
a good guy. You don't realize he's been married to the same woman for 36 years.
Yeah.
That's rare in Hollywood.
He's like, what,
And
75,
for him,
right?
for everybody talking about Sly, he was always running around with all these broads and
Nice
everything.
with the same, yeah.
3 beautiful daughters. Anyway,
Yeah.
he doesn't write to me every day, but
All right, so right now we're talking about who you've met. You told me you met, because I was such a big Looney Tunes fan, you met Mel Blanc, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
He had all the
Which is
voices, man.
crazy.
yeah. That was one of the
I mean, this is the guy who voiced Bugs Bunny and everybody in Looney Tunes.
all of them. Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck. I hated Bugs Bunny. Yeah.
You hated Bugs Bunny?
Oh, he was
Bugs
a
Bunny
miserable.
irritated a lot
he
of
was
people.
Yeah. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Alex. You didn't realize
Yeah.
that? So how could you hate Bugs?
Yeah.
And he would pick on Daffy all the time. So did Elmer. He picked on Elmer Fudd.
Yep.
And Elmer Fudd would try and shoot Daffy because Bugs would dress him up like a duck. You know, and he was a duck, but he didn't look like a duck.
But you know what? Those were memories because you watch those cartoons, kids. I laugh. Especially like Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
I laughed till I cried.
Tom and
Tears.
Jerry, the other one.
Tears.
I showed it to my kids today, my modern Westchester young kids, this new generation, and they fell in love with Looney Tunes. Kids love it.
It's funny.
I mean, it wouldn't pass today. They wouldn't put it on TV. It was too violent now. But it's hilarious. They love it. They get it.
I used to laugh at Tom and Jerry till I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
But there were no pausing and everything, so you can pause. I just would laugh and catch back, catch where it was, because I'd literally be in tears laughing at Tom and Jerry. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was great stuff.
That was great stuff.
And so you did that, and then you became MGM president, of distribution in '77, and that lasted to '89. And I remember you told me you've seen some wild parties and some crazy stuff in the Mad. I've never seen the show Mad Men, so I didn't do my homework for this interview. Have you seen Mad Men? Have you seen the show?
You nerve you.
What is it about? Advertising?
Yes, advertising guys and how they lived.
How they lived.
And and all the sex
crazy
involved,
lifestyle.
and because it was rampant, there was no harassment. You could do whatever you want.
Nice.
Basically.
If I can just go back into a time. Whoa, can we edit that?
You said
Kidding.
I don't mean you could strip naked in your office or something, but I mean everybody was.
Yeah.
It was, and the women understood it, and there wasn't a lot of the physical.
It was just implied.
Yeah, they didn't. You didn't slap. I don't know, whatever is happening today.
Was there butt slapping going on? Was there butt slapping?
Butt slapping?
Ass slapping? Was it like that?
Would you like that? Or?
No. I'm just saying. Was it?
Why would
were these hot? Did you guys ever slap a secretary? She walked by in the butt.
Why would you butt slapping? I could think of 1,000 different.
No, I'm asking if you slapped the
Thank
secretary.
you, David. I mean, he's funnier than the cartoons. Jesus, right. You got to put you on. You're on TV already. No wonder you just stand up.
All right, listen.
Maybe I can be your cohort. Can I get up there?
Oh, man.
Be the straight guys. I can be Dean Martin. You can be Jerry Lewis. Hey, those other two clowns.
But listen, you told me a story that you walked into a party. All I remember, you told me the story over a year ago, so I don't recall it exactly.
Oh,
you said
look,
something about a bowl. I know, I got to mention a bowl of cocaine. And tell us like some of these. Give us like one of these crazy things. Anything ever shock you, or you just walked in and said, "All right, there's a bowl of cocaine"?
That came about because we were. I think what I told you about basically, without going into a lot of detail, there was a thought. Somebody wanted to produce a show. Did America kill John Wayne?
Okay.
And the reason was because when he shot the Conquerors, they shot it in Utah where they did all the atomic explosions.
Right.
Oh.
So evidently he got cancer from
from the fallout.
Yeah.
So what would it have? What went into taking a show from a concept to producing it back in those days?
Oh, what it took?
Yeah.
It took a lot of perseverance.
Yeah.
It took a lot of coercion.
Yeah.
And talent. A combination of all those, because if you're a writer, producer, you have the concept, you know what it is, you know how you want to put it together.
Right.
But now you got to sell it to someone who has to okay it.
Right. Pitch meetings, right?
Yeah, and they're sitting there. All they care about is dollars and cents.
Right.
And if it doesn't click, you're up against a stone wall, and you gotta keep pushing and then get lucky and put the right people in the cast. Yeah. Works out to be the right cast, the right type of a pilot. You shoot the pilot, and they you want to call them suits.
Yeah.
They decide.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the air and test it and see what happens, then the rest is up to the audience.
But it's not a perfect system,
because Seinfeld, regarded as one of the great sitcoms, was flailing at first. But the executives that so I was told, I heard it somewhere on a podcast too, just a few days ago, that the execs, I think on NBC, that's where Seinfeld was.
Yes.
On NBC, that they loved it and they kept pushing it and pushing it till it became,
Right,
what
if
it
you
was.
He also had a great following in stand-up too.
Yeah.
So
Jerry.
that all of that added to it, and he's a great salesperson.
Okay.
So it became almost a natural, and once it hit the air,
Yeah.
right casting, because that helps a lot. I mean, that helped him with that show. Alone, without that right kind of a cast, might not have been that successful. Might have still been successful, but they.
Because today, right, still exists, network, but now with the internet, especially social media,
Oh, that's a different.
you can sneeze in a video. I got a little cousin that he danced on TikTok. 5 million views.
Yeah. It's
5
a
million,
whole different
and
world.
it's
Something
like,
makes it just go,
and it can go across the country, it can go across the world. I mean, I make videos that are seen in all different countries and people, which is,
it's a phenomenon.
It
It,
is.
really is.
Right.
I mean, it's
But I was
taken
going to
over.
say, it's not a perfect. I bet you these pitch meetings, they're not a perfect concept because you hear of stories where, like, I heard a story of something that was like a huge show. Let's just say a huge show. I forgot which one it was, but they pitched it to like 4 networks. They all said this is going to be garbage. But the little network that took the show, then it became like some great show. That happens.
It wasn't 18, right? It wasn't
It's
18?
Rocky. Rocky is a perfect example.
Rock. So this is exactly. Nobody wanted it.
He sat down. He was in the Lords of Flatbush, a movie nobody ever saw. He was one of the young guys, but he had this concept. He was talking about it with Hannity too.
Yeah.
He had this idea about lifting up the little people, and there's always hope that you can always struggle and get ahead and do something if you work at it. And it rattled around in his brain, and he came up with the idea of Rocky, the boxer, who overcomes all of these negatives.
Okay.
When he came to Hollywood, nobody knew who the hell he was, and he had his script, and he was turned down by every major studio. One or two of them offered him $25,000 for the script.
Wow.
And he said he was willing to sell the script if he starred in it and he wrote it and blah blah blah. And they said, we just want the rights.
Yeah.
Excuse my language,
No,
but he
you're
wants
fine.
the
You're
rights.
fine. You're fine. We're grown.
And he persevered. I will refuse to let anybody do this unless I do it. And United Artists, Arthur Krim was the president of United Artists. They took a flyer on him.
Wow.
They just lost a ton of money with Michael Cimino in the Heaven's Gate. Okay. So they were like, what? So they took a shot at it, and the rest is history.
It really is. Yeah.
He produced. He was the man behind Rocky.
Yeah.
He made it what it was, and the rest is a success story.
Yeah, I mean, he has a career
And that's
that spans,
before Rambo and
Yeah.
before all those,
Yeah.
So
I just watched him recently, season 2, King of Tulsa.
isn't that a Tulsa?
Yeah, King of Tulsa.
That is really him.
Yeah.
That is, he's not really.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's a great
That
show.
is a funny show.
Yeah.
And that's it's a perfect example.
Which is what these shows do. They connect to you on some kind of emotional level that kind of suckers you in.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, okay, I'm in love with the characters. Let's see what happens and blah, blah. It's good. I like it.
And he says, that a lot of those characters, you can actually interject yourself into that situation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was me when they turned me down, or I'm glad I stuck to it. So there's that kind of an association as well.
That's what we got. You got a couple of dads here that's still pursuing comedy.
I'll tell you, I hate to change the subject to me, but you mentioned Ali, and God love that guy. Yeah. And the only reason I got to know him fairly as well, not well enough, but
you didn't just meet him once; you got to know him.
Knowing is maybe the wrong word, but Howard Cosell, who at the time, as you know, was Monday Night Football. You hated him, but you watched it.
Yeah.
Along with Gifford, who couldn't add two and but no, they had a great. It was a great.
You heard it here first.
Frank was great. Yeah. He was one of the best.
Yeah.
OJ was pretty good too, but OJ went another way. But with Ali,
boy did he.
when he was the nicest easiest going guy that you can imagine.
Yeah.
But you talk about stand up, he was a showman.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I'm
an
so
entertainer.
pretty.
Yeah.
I'm so pretty.
I loved his rhymes when he did
Yeah.
the pre-fight with the reporters, and he would make up rhyme stories. You know?
The gorilla in Manila.
Yeah.
You know, all that. And when he refused to
Go to the war.
go in the
yeah.
army, people deserted him.
Mm-hmm.
But he never gave up. He didn't really badmouth the government, and then people like Jimmy Brown and Russell and the guy I just mentioned, the announcer, stuck by him for almost 3 or 4 years until the Supreme Court ruled in his favor. And the tragedy of that, and he never gave up.
Yeah.
The tragedy of all that, they took his title away, which they should not have done.
Yeah.
So he lost 3 years of all that money.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
but talk about
yeah.
perseverance, and that's the kind of thing that you don't realize about someone unless you get to know them.
Right.
That he never gave up. He never blamed. He didn't blame anybody.
Yeah.
This is what happened, and this is what I got to do, and this is what I got to put up with.
Yeah.
And I think those types of movies and types of individuals come across when they do these pilots or these television shows.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's
who are some of the other stars of the day that you knew, that you met, had a rapport with, that we would know?
I used to meet a number of them in the commissary because of the studio was right there.
Right.
Carol O'Connor, I liked a lot.
Yeah. Archie Bunker.
I'm not familiar.
Archie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Archie Bunker. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. What? Give her the name again.
Carol O'Connor.
Was Archie Bunker?
Meathead.
Archie Bunker.
Meathead.
And what
Come on,
what was the wife's name? Remember the wife's name?
Yeah, I can't.
Do you know that she was one of the greatest stage actresses
Yes.
that ever lived?
Yes.
I always forget her name though.
Is it Jane something?
Carol O'Connor.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
Was it Jane? Edith Bunker. Do Edith Bunker.
Edith, right.
Edith Bunker.
Yeah. You can look it up, but
She was who played her? Gene Stapleton.
Gene Stapleton. Yeah. Not Jane.
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. Well, we have it on.
Yeah,
no.
we
I
can-
mean, I figured it out myself.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking up.
Cheating,
No,
cheating,
it's
cheating.
great. Wow, talk about dementia. Jesus Christ.
Well, this guy treats me like I'm some dumb Eastern European.
Who-
Like, what is this television? Is Bucks? Is Bucks and
Who
House?
treats you like a dumb Eastern European? Who? Me? Get out of here. How? Do I say something to insult you, Alex? Come on, I'm biggest fan of you. Come on, guy.
He's like a wife. If my wife was a black man, if that makes sense.
He treats me like, he never give me compliment. He said my hair messy. He said I don't like shirt. Buy another shirt.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, she was an accomplished stage actor, and that character, those characters live on like forever.
Yeah,
I used to watch this when I was in my early teens. Because my dad would watch it, and you just watch whatever your parents watch. There was no, it's not appropriate.
Well,
and when she got uncomfortable, when he would kind of like borderline, he was mean to her sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I would watch it getting anxious and frustrated, like, this is sad. That's how good of an actress she, but it was TV.
Yeah.
But I got like really
Norman
like,
Lear,
oh, this poor lady.
Norman Lear, if
She
tried
played
to
the
do
part
that,
amazingly, yeah.
Maud, I mean, those shows that he put on the air, you couldn't do today the way they were then.
Yeah.
But he's another persevered. Norman, that's the way Norman was.
Are there any shows? What did you? So you
stuff about Norman
did you have to ever say no to shows or programming that you guys wanted to put on and you turned it down? Will you regret it today or no?
Yeah.
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 And how does it?
I don't want to get into
No, that's fine. But it does happen.
Oh yes. They have a screening room in the bottom floor of the Thalberg building, and you sit there.
And where
they
is
call
this?
them dailies.
Where's the Thalberg building?
At MGM. It's Irving
In
Thalberg
Los
Angeles.
Okay.
And they would bring in dailies and rushes and that's what they would call them, things they shot that day.
Right.
That they wanted to take a look at and edit and all
dailies,
that stuff.
right.
So sometimes they would bring in a show and say, "Well, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that?" And I don't want to use some of the words that we use.
Feel we can edit it out. Feel free. Feel free.
But you're watching it. You're not watching it in front of the people who want it on TV. You get the information, you watch it, you screen it with other heads, and you decide if it should be on television.
Well, basically they're sitting there. Whoever they are, have just invested or are about to invest a certain amount of money in this particular project, and we would be the last bastion. Can you sell this? Given this,
I see.
Parameters, the actors, this is it, and you would see snippets, okay, like trailers,
Right.
and you'd have to make a judgment: would that fly? Would it not fly? What kind of an audience? And you know, and you had to give an honest opinion. It can't be.
What is it? A lot of it is you're looking at if it's inappropriate, if it's gonna.
Or sometimes
be for
the actors
everybody.
just suck.
So sometimes it's just sucking.
Yeah, geez, come on.
So was there a notion about, okay, this would go international in like other countries and perform well?
Sure, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, they
Even
would
back
play.
then?
Yes.
Okay.
That happened. That happened quite frequently, where some programs really didn't fit in the U.S. audience, and that were acceptable to international. But that was a whole different.
Naked dating.
That was.
It's a whole different.
Wouldn't have passed back.
A whole different twist on
Yeah.
morals and laws, and you know. But it was very lucrative business.
Right.
They had the international television conference in Cannes every year in May, and all the distributors, including us, would bring either the new shows or the old shows we want to still keep running and selling.
Oh wow!
Wait,
And
you're talking about like the Cannes Film Festival?
Yeah.
What still goes on today? Of course.
Yes, but that's the film festival. This is the television festival.
Yeah, the television
But
festival.
in Cannes, with all the all the hotels there and the beach and everything, that's another.
Okay, you know what I'm going to ask them.
You want to walk along that
monsieur,
beach.
can I go to your room maybe to perform maybe a dance for you, monsieur?
I think you've seen some things in Cannes that
In French.
Some things you didn't see.
yeah.
How you say broad in French?
There was there are so many amenities that you get by being in broadcasting.
Yes, of course.
It doesn't make any difference.
Right.
Long as you're in the movie, the broadcasting, the audience, the people love to hear it.
Yeah.
They all want to be next to you, no matter who you are. You can be a star, that's a little different.
Right.
But I remember one of the things I did when I was younger, when I first went to work for Paramount.
Right.
Paramount Pictures, boy, oh boy. You know, coming from ABC for $2 a week, and I'm getting $4 a week. So they give you an air travel card,
Right.
and it says Paramount Pictures on it.
Right.
So I could use that air travel card for Hertz and all that stuff. But normally we rented Hertz.
Right.
Okay.
So you go to the Hertz counter, and there are girls there, women, whatever you want to. You put down that card, and it says Paramount Pictures. You got it made. That's all. They didn't even want to know.
I'm not even going to say
even
anything.
with my nose, I could score. You know what I'm saying? So that was it. That's all.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Paramount. Oh. Yeah, that's it. We're pictures. It's me right here.
I'm going to say it nicely for our audience. A vaginal magnet. Pussy magnet. You put that down. Listen, I seen a guy, I worked in a nightclub one time. I was a bouncer. And I seen a guy.
No.
Yeah, huge,
No,
giant guy.
no.
I seen a guy pull up with a Lamborghini. And you think, well, what could possibly happen? The girls are going to just come flocking to him. The Lamborghini pulls up, and just girls out of nowhere just strolling by.
Yep.
Hi, this is nice. Are you coming in? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It just came out of nowhere, out of the woodwork.
Yep.
So I can imagine what you've seen. Did you ever travel to any interesting parts of the country other than the majors, like the cities like LA and New York and Paris and all this stuff? Did that business take you all over the world, or was it mostly LA and New York?
Not all over the world. That was a little too, the expense in those days and the travel time was. We had representatives in Australia and like not New Zealand, mostly Australia, but my travels mostly were through Europe, what is London, Dublin, Paris, Germany, those Spain.
West Germany.
At the time, East Germany, West. Yeah, that's right.
Germ-
East Germany, West Germany. It was West Germany.
That was
When you were doing this, I was in the Soviet Union, in the Czechoslovakia, in the communist bloc.
Really?
I mean, I came here in '84. We defected. So you were doing that, and I was a little communist boy. I was 7 years old when you were president already for 7 years. I was already his size though already.
yeah, and so were the women, right?
Yeah.
For your age.
Yeah.
Hi, big boy. How big are you, big boy?
Oh, I get it all the time.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a lot like my little Paramount car.
Yeah. No, but that's good. So
Well, David's no.
Yeah.
He's up there. Yeah.
So you were head of sales and in distribution, and you went to it had an international component to it. So did you foresee, because you had to do ESPN as well, right?
Yeah, well, ESPN came much later.
Yeah.
That was that when ABC, the guy's name was Rasmussen.
Okay.
In Bristol, Connecticut.
Right.
And he started this small little cable channel because they couldn't get all the networks or they couldn't get regular CBS. And all. So he started a small little company.
Right.
And it started to grow a little bit, and he had a pretty good audience. And then it caught the eye of ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of his name this minute. And
Not Aldrich. You're not talking about. Not
no,
Aldrich, okay.
Herb Granite,
Okay.
who was the head of
Herb
ABC
Granite.
Sports
Yeah.
sales.
Okay.
He was involved in it, and a fellow by the name of Mark Cohen, who was a business affairs guy. They liked the concept because they're trying to expand ABC Sports,
Right.
Okay.
and those that could see some of the future, they realized that cable might be the new
Right. Okay.
outlet for programming.
Right. Right.
So they went ahead and bought it from the oil company, Getty Oil.
Okay.
They bought the rights to ESPN from Getty.
Okay.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't know they were involved in that.
Me
Okay.
either.
Yes, Getty Oil owned the rights to ESPN, and or controlled it with Rasmussen, one or the other. But then it was a little too expensive for ABC, so they Hearst magazines, they own television shows. They invested in it, and it went on ABC. And then when you saw sports like the wrestling, arm wrestling,
Yeah.
and that was the offshoot, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, when did pro wrestling get big? Because I was around when WWF. Was that in the early '80s? The wrestling got big. The professional wrestling.
I would,
Was it-
yeah.
Did it go back to the? Do you remember it?
What's his name? Yeah, it was the head of it.
Who aired it? Who originally aired it in the '80s? Where was it aired?
I don't. You know what? That's something I don't remember.
I don't.
They
remember
were. See, they weren't. You see, right now we know WWE, which was WWF before. But what happened, as I remember it, especially Vince McMahon Sr., see, there were all these these different wrestling organizations, pockets of them. You had the South, and they stuck to theirs. The North stuck to theirs. But McMahon Sr. got aggressive, and he ended up gobbling up all of
that's
them.
McMahon. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you envision or happen to see like beyond cable, maybe even into streaming, what we have today? Because
No, streaming wasn't even a word.
Yeah, that wasn't even.
Not as far. No, not when. No, that was much later, and it's still people don't quite get it, but the studios are streaming more and more of their movies.
They are. I mean, I grew up in the islands, so I would come here in the summer because we had one television station when I was a kid in Barbados.
Yeah.
I came here, you've got several, right? So I'm watching shows that are repeats in the summertime. First time I'm seeing them because by the time they get down to Barbados, I see them already during the summer, right?
Yeah.
And as a TV guy, my daughter, compared to my daughter, she doesn't watch TV. I mean, she's in college now, but it wasn't
newer
when she was a
generation.
little girl. But everything is on her phone and your computer.
Yes.
You don't have to sit in front of the TV at a certain time. You watch whenever.
That's my son. That's what he does. And my son, he doesn't.
Like SNL, right? You have to watch Saturday Night Live at 11:30. Now I just go to YouTube and you see
I mean,
clips
it's
and
TV.
everything.
It's still TV. It's just more on demand for the consumer.
Right.
They can watch it whenever they want it. But it's still TV.
But there are arguments out there. Is it still as powerful as it was? The medium.
Well, there's no more gatekeepers like Johnny Carson and Leno,
Johnny,
Letterman.
Johnny Carson
Right?
was a gatekeeper.
I'm saying these were all gatekeepers for stand-up comedians like what we do. Now it's like all like social media. We talk about this all the time.
Because
There's no more gatekeepers like that.
now you can go on a late night talk show, perform, get 5 million views, and then nothing. Nothing comes of it.
As a stand-up comedian, you used to have to go on one of these shows like Carson.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then if he didn't like you, your career was over. Yeah. That was it.
If he invited you to that couch,
That was the gatekeeper.
Yeah, I know
But
that.
it's not like that.
He's like,
What do you teach? Oh, yeah.
No.
I know that. Yeah. No, thanks for telling me.
Today is December, Joe.
Oh,
December
So
24th.
tell us. So what else went into that? You think?
I'm sorry?
What else then went into that? Like making a star or making the next hottest, but like Eddie Murphy, for example, because he shot out of
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and then just woof. Because what happened was, I don't know if you're familiar with Godfrey, comedian Godfrey.
No.
Well, he's a comedian, very good, one of my favorites, and he auditioned for
Gilbert
SNL.
Gottfried?
Not Gilbert Gottfried. No,
I loved him.
his name is actually Godfrey Danchima Jr. But he auditioned for SNL, and he pretty much could do everything Eddie Murphy could do in terms of characters, voices, original. And they never hired him.
Oh, Eddie Murphy, there was he was unique at the unique at the time. I mean, when he did the Fudgy, what the hell?
Gumby.
Yeah.
I mean, those were unique. Those were different.
Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I happen to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those are all like new kind of for
emerging.
him.
Right.
It was his talent.
Right.
I don't know Godfrey, so I can't compare him. But
Yeah, that's him right there. Boy.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean,
no, see,
Yeah.
The audience today is just within the space of 10 years is totally different.
Right.
Like I said, my son grew up on computers.
Right.
Like you said, he gets everything. He doesn't want to watch. I don't need to watch. My wife used to get mad at him because he couldn't tell time unless it was digital.
Right.
I think my kids are like that now.
Yeah.
The new kids are like this.
Yeah.
So they're growing up in a much different. Now you say late night, they're doomed. They're all
My kids are
gone.
Eastern European, so I beat them.
Yeah.
I beat them until they learn and understand.
What father say? You what you have for dinner?
I don't beat
Nothing.
my kids.
Go.
You see how big I am.
Eat it. Say, Dad, I'm vegan. Eat it. Drink it.
So you think, is there any difference now, like today, how shows are produced, how shows come together? Is it the same as it always was? Is it going the same way?
Oh, I've been out of it for a
You've
while
been out
now,
of it
so
since
it's
89,
hard.
right? You stopped?
I still do a little bit of things. I was staying in touch.
What made you stop? Did you just retire?
Kind of. Like MacArthur said, they just fade away. We just kind of fade away. The younger ones come up behind you and they take over and they have different ideas.
Right.
So it's kind of
direction.
sounds to me what you're saying is it's a little bit of a ruthless business, right? As soon as somebody has better ideas, they shove you aside.
It's competition. I mean, what do you expect?
Right. And you accepted it because you're like, listen, this is what I built. I'm happy with what I can look back at my accomplishments because this is what I. So if someone younger comes to take the baton, then I'm perfectly fine.
David, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly. You
jealous,
realize
don't be jealous.
that you were one of them at one point in time,
Right.
and probably we were resented by older people who had the jobs, and we're trying to push them out.
Right.
But it's all part of business. It's not just broadcasting.
Right.
Broadcasting is a little more harsh, I think, because it's so visible, so public.
Right.
People write about it all the time. People are interested in it.
Broadcasting. Have you seen Ron Burgundy? That whole thing.
Well, he's
Is any of that true? Is it an exaggeration of real life?
no, that's not.
It's all willpower.
It's all
man.
silly.
But
But listen, but I know somebody in broadcasting said it's ruthless and cutthroat. That's what I heard. I mean, what do you know about it?
Yeah, I mean, those are harsh words.
Right.
What's considered ruthless? What's cutthroat?
I guess they mean
Did
competition.
somebody go behind your back and do it, or was it done up front?
Right.
Because I have more talent, or I'm better, or I'm younger, or I'm smarter, or I have a different approach to what you had.
Right.
Or in a lot of cases, I'm very proud at the people that eventually that you might say I was responsible for
Right.
or in charge of.
Right.
That I wanted the smartest people. If they challenge me for the job, that's deserved. But I've watched them grow, and I take a lot of pride in some of them that have achieved a certain amount of success and a little bit of fame, maybe here or there.
So people who say cutthroat, it's a little sour grapes. Maybe that comes from that a little bit.
I think it's a case by case basis, not an overall.
That's exactly right.
As in most things in life, anyway.
Yeah, a person could have an opinion of something and think it stinks.
Right.
And the same, the person looking at the same thing says it's not that bad.
Right. True.
So who's right, who's wrong?
True.
You got to.
I mean, we're comedians, so we know exactly that. Like sometimes he finds some a particular comment or style hilarious, and I go, okay, and vice versa. If something I find hilarious, he goes, I don't get it. But that's you know what I mean.
It's not his fault that he has no sense of humor. There's what I'm basically saying is what he's saying.
There's a certain amount of obviously ability to see. I'm always impressed by people who have these creative minds that are able to see something that they feel is worthwhile, that people would like or appreciate or accept. They could be wrong, but they can visualize it.
Right.
I've never had that type of. I can visualize how to market and sell something. You give me that package, and if I say, I think I can really move that, now I know how to do it. But to get that package to where it's at, I can't produce it. I can't write it. I can tell you whether I think it sucks or not.
That's where I come in because I create characters like that. I do a video series about a guy that's trying to be a news person, but he hasn't been successful, so he's very frustrated, right?
No,
but like now I want to turn it into like an everyday thing. What he goes through every day. He lives in Brooklyn. He's in a Caribbean community. There's an app, a news app, and it's not very good, and he gets into it with people back and forth. So that's what
It's
sketch. It's comedy.
It's a business that I would recommend for people who have that type of a talent, a creative mind, an ability to accept defeat and keep going.
Right.
Because I remember trying to sell a package of movies. The guy said, throw me out of the office. But next day, hey, was it the same package? Yeah, I got one more picture.
Yeah.
You persevere, and that's how they become. I think the idea of an Ali in a rock, not that they're exactly the same, but those types of people. They don't give up.
Right.
And most of those actors really they were that close to starving and became famous.
Yeah, I've heard countless stories. I've heard stories about what was that? What was that show? It was Mike and Molly, the comedian. What's
Mike
this
and
guy?
Molly?
Mike and Molly.
I don't know that.
Oh, the big heavy guy.
Yeah.
You know all this stuff? You watch all this TV?
Well,
I don't know any of these references.
Well, I
don't watch
know.
TV.
I just some of the names. There are so many of them. And it was McCarthy is the
Billy Gardell.
Yeah,
because
McCarthy,
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy became a big deal.
He had a story about doing stand up and not having any. He had like $6 in the bank or something like that. He had auditioned for this thing, and he wasn't booking anything, and he went down like this basement to perform. No signal, and he performed. And when he come out, he had this message that they casted him in this thing. And that's how he started to make money from that, And he was like, and other comics, because comics are it's a small community.
Oh, sure.
So everybody was very happy for him that he got a shot that he deserved because he was around a while doing it, and that's how it is. Oh, we got 4 minutes left. We've been doing 15 minutes.
There's a lot of I was listening to Ed O'Neill. I used to love watching Married with Children. But Ed O'Neill, he moved from it was either Michigan or Indiana with like a knapsack on his shoulder, went into Manhattan and said, "I want to be an actor." That's insane.
Yeah,
most people don't do that.
There's
there's a lot of guts to that. I mean, that's. Yeah.
You know, they had. I understand that. I mean, I can appreciate what they've gone through because in their mind, that's what they want to do, and they're willing to forsake the normal jobs or whatever you want to call it, because that's what they want to do.
Can I ask you, did you ever see them get emotional when they got big projects and they got picked for something big? Did you ever see a lot of emotion out of the actors? Like somebody finds out that you know, yeah, you're going to be in this sitcom now and your life's going to change.
You don't have $12 in your checking account.
Yeah. Have you seen some cool stuff like that?
Or at least okayed it
you
to say, hey,
remember?
this is the guy.
I think Williams.
Robin Williams?
Robin Williams.
You
When Mork
Mork and Mindy?
took off.
you witnessed it?
Well, it was on ABC, so
Wow.
he witnessed it.
Nano.
We're all there.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Mark from the
when we
Planet
have the big conferences, he would be there.
Is that what started his talent, or was he first in stand-up?
No, he was stand up.
And then Mork and Mindy came after his stand-up career already was going?
Yep.
Okay.
But that's when he became a name.
Right.
Sure.
You know, like Murphy. I mean,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
became a name from
yeah.
from that character, and then he went on to being as famous as he was.
Yeah. We watched Mark. We watched Happy Days, The Fawns. What Henry Winkler.
Winkler,
Yeah.
he's bigger now than he ever was.
Yeah, he was. You know, I'd watch him in the 80s. Hey.
Yeah.
He thought he was the coolest thing.
That's what I was surprised about Robin Williams committing suicide.
Yeah.
But they did say he had some sort of illness or whatever it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Because I
mental
mean, he
health
was
and-
nuts. Well, nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that mind that
Yeah,
never
yeah.
Stopped.
Right.
He and
Yeah,
Jonathan
he was, like,
Winters.
full of
You ever
energy.
see he and Jonathan Winters get together? Jonathan Winters was like he based his characters on Jonathan Winters' portrayal of people.
Interesting.
Okay.
And if you never saw Jonathan Winters, you don't understand.
We could
it, but
YouTube. You could YouTube it and find it out.
But the two of them together, you're like they belong in an insane asylum.
Yeah.
But what they said was hilarious,
Yeah.
bright, smart, quick. I mean,
Yeah.
the minds that think like that. I saw Robin once do a shtick at the last minute with two guys that we just happened to be walking through the lot. And he was walking like a not crazy man.
Yeah.
And whatever these two guys said to him, he turned around and he started jabbering. These two guys were on the floor. They were so goddamn laughing their ass off.
We got seconds remaining.
Yeah, we got like a minute left. That's it.
Well,
Joe, this has been a pleasure, and thank you for taking time out of your
thank
day
you
to come.
for asking me.
talk to
I
us.
really appreciate it.
Wow, we could go on. We could go on like a Joe Rogan interview, another 3 hours. But
Well,
Terrence-
I want to leave one last thought. My career, I could not have asked for anything better. The people I met, the excitement I had, the meeting all those different people, was terrific, and it meant a lot to me and my family, and so on and so forth. So, and I'm glad that I had that opportunity.
Awesome.
And
Well,
part of it was luck.
It's a
And
pleasure
just
to meet you.
one comment about Syracuse University.
Yeah.
Oh, show us.
Syracuse SU.
Show the hat.
For all of those guys, 1959 national champions. Jimmy Brown. He wasn't, but it was Ernie Davis.
That hat looks like it's literally from 1959.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
it's got dementia. They have a dementia.
It's smarter
It's
than
my
I am
dementia,
already.
yeah. You can leave it in if you want to.
No, of course we leave it in.
But thank you very much. It's been
Thank you
great.
very much.
Thank you,
Great fun.
Joe.
Hey,
Thank you.
guys, thank you. This has been episode 18 of the Velvet Sugar Podcast. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. Like us. Share it to folks. We're trying to bring you some fantastic podcasts, some interviews. So,
Email us and
Yeah.
and we'll answer your questions on
Velvet
the,
Sugar
on the
Podcast
next
at
show if you want.
gmail.com. Yeah, we
Let
put
us
it up.
know.
I am David Beckles Jr. At BlackRock Dave.
Alex Kolar at Big Alex Comedy. And thank you, Mr. Joseph
Joe Tirinato, guest.
Yes. Later.
Thank you.